Okay, so we're gonna make a start now. So first of all, welcome everyone to our webinar today, From Zero to Public Speaking Hero. This is our seventh webinar of our Skill Quest campaign, which is organized by VietPro. So first of all, massive thank you to everyone coming here today on a very beautiful Saturday in London. And yeah, really sorry about the incident last time, 2 weeks ago, when we really had to reschedule the webinar due to the fact that Zoom just suddenly stopped working at 3 p.m. So there was a bit of a moment of panic, but here we are again. And people always saying, obviously, good things come to those who wait. So I'm sure there's going to be loads of good things waiting for you today, especially because having in the house today, we have an award-winning public speaker, Matt Robertson, who is waiting to give you all the amazing hints and tips of how to become a better public speaker, or just simply how to be better at presentations, how to be more confident talking to people among the crowd. So yeah, loads of exciting things amazing ahead for all of us. But before I have to give the spotlight to Matt Robertson today. I'm just going to run through, as usual, a little bit of backgrounds of who are we, why we're doing this, so you can have a bit of information. So first of all, who are we? So we are VietPro. We are Vietnamese professionals in the UK. We started about 10 years ago, so we're actually reaching our anniversary by the end of this year. So we're a really open community. We have about 4,000 people, including professionals, students in Vietnam, in the UK, all over the world really. And with our main sort of target is to provide a platform for everyone to come, to connect, have a bit of fun. And more importantly, we're always trying to do something meaningful to give back to communities as well. And that brings up nicely to why we're here today. So what is Skill Quest and why are we doing this? So this is a series of 12 webinars focusing on different skills, different things that we think might be helpful for you to learn during the lockdown, during quarantine life. As you can see here, our very big sort of slogan we're trying to make here, power up your skills. As we all know, people talk a lot about we're living in a really different sort of life at the moment, everyone suddenly having loads of free time. So we thought, let's just make the best use of this time to connect and make sure we keep in touch. And we have these webinars. So every week, every Saturday and Sunday, we have some special guests coming, talking about their experiences. They might be already very successful in what they do, or maybe they just started the journey, but they have some cool and fun things to share with you. So our topics among the series of 12 webinars focusing on the three things: personal development, lifestyle well-being, and creativity. And obviously talking about COVID-19, so as you all know, all the impact that it has on other people. And then that's why we're thinking of doing this Skill Quest campaign. We partner with Blue Dragon's Emergency Appeal, the Children Foundation, in order to do something to help other peoples as well, in order to overcome the situations. And we really hope that by the end of these 12 webinars, we manage to gather people together to connect. And also we have a donation target of £3,000 to give to Blue Dragon Foundations in order to improve the life, to make a little bit of change to the people who are suffering from COVID-19. So why we choose Blue Dragon? So they are a very famous foundation. They started in Vietnam in 2003. So they've already been doing amazing work for nearly 20 years now, helping the children, the people with disadvantages, to overcome all the difficulties or the troubles they have by giving them also the mental and financial support. And as you can imagine, COVID-19, everyone's feeling the impact, but the people that can feel the impact first, obviously, is the one who's already struggling before COVID-19. As you can see on the slides here, are loads of quite sad situations, quite sad statistics that we pull out on the screen. But more importantly, we're here today. So the message that we want to give to people, we want to give all of you, is in times of deep crisis like this, the solidarity is the only vaccines, and we're here together and we're going to get through this together. So that's why we have this, the target is about £3,000 that we really hope everyone will make a little bit of a donation. We can all be a part of that change. And even though it might not be a massive amount of money, but it can definitely change a lot of people's life. So be a part of us, join us in this campaign. And if you find this webinar helpful, if you enjoy it, please thinking about making a donation. So how can I make a donation? We're trying to make it as easy as possible. So first way, you can see the QR code on the screen here. All you need to do is put on your smartphone and scan the QR code. It's going to get you straight to the donation page. Or you can see on the chat sections now as well, we put out the links as well for you to do it. So you can literally donate from all over the world. You have a credit card, you can donate from Vietnam, America, obviously in the UK, everywhere. So yeah, we give you about 5 seconds to just work out how to put it in the QR code and get to the donation page. We're about halfway there. So thank you so much for everyone who already supported and showed the donated to our campaign. We still got a bit of a long way to go, but we believe we've got to make it through. So yeah, thanks everyone, and we're waiting to hear some good news over the upcoming webinars as well in terms of donations. And of course, to make this series of webinars happen, we have to say a massive thanks to everyone who's been amazing help to make this happen. So thank you to Overseas Vietnamese, Vietnam Finance Society, Vietnamese Family Partnership, and also to our art directors and designer, obviously, who made this great poster that you can see. Thank you to Sun Fan and Jidens as well for your hard work. And before we really get outside into the world of public speaking, I'm going to give all the spotlight to our guest today. As you can see on the screen, he's getting ready. Just some simple house rules. As usual, is the Zoom webinar. Only host and speaker have the audios and screens enabled. If you particularly enjoy something that Matt say in the webinars, please don't be afraid to put it in the chat section so we can all have a bit of discussion, have a bit of chat. If you have a burning desire to ask Matt questions, submit your question to the Q&A. And at the end of the webinar, we always get about 10-15 minutes for Matt to answer the questions. If you feel confident enough, just put your name down and I'm going to let you actually speak directly to Matt. If you're not feeling confident about talking, I'm going to ask the questions on behalf of you. So yeah, and you all, of course, you can vote other people's questions as well using the thumb like as well. So yeah, I think that's really it from me. So now we're just going to welcome Matt and let's his amazing tips impress you, and let's get into the work of public speaking. So here all to Matt, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen and stop my videos as well. So here you are, Matt.
Thank you very much for that introduction. And guys, if you like what you see today, please dig deep. Every little bit helps. So I'm just going to fiddle around with this for a second and share my screen. Where is it? I think this one. All right, now let's get my deck up. Can you see that sharing? Hopefully. All right. Yeah. Okay. Wicked. So, yep. From zero to public speaking hero. Some logistics before we start. It's going to take about 30 minutes, and they'll allow for a Q&A towards the end. If you guys want to know more, you can find me on LinkedIn. Friend me on the gram. I love the gram. And let's get to it.
Just to interrupt, we haven't seen your screen yet. So
okay. Sorry about that. How about now?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. Cool. Sorry. So that, as I said, name's on screen there. Instagram name as well. Hit me a like, hit me a follow. Let's get connected. So public speaking. Why on earth is it? Why is it important? Why is it important for me? Like, why do I do it? Why is it important for everyone on this this Zoom link today? And why is it important for everyone on planet Earth to do? So have you ever been stuck in a meeting, for example, and your boss has turned to you and said, what do you think about this? And you've just absolutely quaked. Or maybe you're actually about to give a presentation to the company in a week's time, you have no idea where to begin, or you're standing on that stage and you're feeling a bit quivery, you're feeling a bit nervous, and you think, why on earth can I not get over this fear of public speaking? It's a horrible thing. I think it's #1 on the list of top 10 fears. It's ahead of death, and it's ahead of moving house, and it's ahead of divorce. Public speaking is the most crazy and most scary thing that people can think about. Or maybe you're a master at public speaking in your job space, but let's say you go on a date and your date looks you directly in the eye and she asks you a question and you quake, you don't know how to answer something right off the cuff. Public speaking will teach you how to do that and how to be very quick-witted. So we all have a message inside of us. Every single person on this link has something they want to tell people. They want to tell the world. But how do you tell people in a reliable, relatable, conceiving, and most importantly, a motivating way? Well, hopefully today I'll give you some very quick tips, which I've discovered over my 6+ years of being a Toastmaster, some very quick fixes about how you can overcome your fear of public speaking and how you can stand on a stage or in a group of friends and deliver something powerful. So just a little bit of structure towards the meeting today. I'm going to quickly talk about my journey as a public speaker. I wasn't born this way, in the words of Lady Gaga. And then I'm going to go on to the practical tips. That's the reason why you guys logged on today. So what to do as to what I call the pre speech. So actually building the speech, and then on to what you have to do in the moments leading up to your speech. And then what the heck are you supposed to do during the speech? And then we're going to have the conclusion. I'm going to sum everything up. And then lastly, the Q&A. Now, throughout this speech, you're going to be listening to a lot of bro science, as I call it. It's things which may not be scientifically accurate or proven, but they're things which I found have helped me personally, and I hope they can help you. The best thing about bro science, it's 50% fact, 50% magic, but 100% results, guys. So, as I mentioned, I wasn't born a public speaker. I started off in school giving presentations in front of classes, and one of my very first memories is being in school in South Africa. That's where I grew up, and having to deliver a poetry recital in front of my class and standing there, legs together, hands really wet from all the sweat that was on them, very clammy. I was nervous shuffling, my voice was quaking, it was going really high pitch at times, it was going really low, but I stood on the stage and managed to deliver this speech. And then after graduating from university and starting my job, this fear, this difficulty inside me became so persistent that I'd had enough of it. As I'm sure a lot of people are aware, life is going to keep giving you these challenges, and there's a point in your life when you have to say, I'm done playing games and I'm actually going to do something about it. So I joined an organization called Toastmasters. It's a 100-year-old organization that was started in the US, and it's got about thousands of clubs all over the world now, each club having anywhere from 50 to 200 members. I think there's about 80 here in London, and I've been working on public speaking for the past 5-6 years. It's really helped me advance my job as well. I actually work in sales, so having a good diction repertoire, being able to speak to strangers, being able to go to sales meetings live and not be nervous and to deliver something convincing is a really powerful skill, I think. But I've actually advanced quite a lot in Toastmasters now that I competed in the England finals this year. Unfortunately, I didn't win. I did win the London finals. Crazy story of how I built up to this. So I've been taking part in the Toastmasters global competition for the past 5 years. And each year I've gotten a bit further. I've won my clubs competition. I've won the area competition where a few clubs contend together. And then this year I finally won the London competition and I made it through to the England round. But the day before I was supposed to take part in the first round, my clubs competition, I was stranded in Munich by that terrible series of storms we had in February. But me being me, there is no way I'm not going to compete in a competition like Toastmasters. So I eventually got the train all the way back from Munich to London, missed my club's competition, but on the train, I joined another Toastmaster club. It was that easy to join. And I went on to win what's called the evaluation and the prepared speech round So I went on to represent the new club at the England level. In Toastmasters, there are two types of speeches you can do: a prepared speech between 5 and 7 minutes long, or an evaluation speech where you listen to someone else's speech and you critique it and give constructive feedback in the form of an improv speech. That was the one I won and took to the England finals. Oh, wait, one more thing. And ironically, it was on Zoom because of the coronavirus. I know public speaking is supposed to be done in a public space, but I actually nailed the Zoom feature. Happy to answer some Q&A questions around that. But let's get down to the bread and butter. What the hell can we actually do to get better at public speaking? So as I go along, you're going to see some pretty weird and wacky things on the slides here. And sure, if you want to answer what you think they are in the chat, be my guest. And if you're right, well done. If not, I'll answer them. Don't worry. So firstly, how do we build a speech? Now that could be a work speech, or it could be, you know, a creative speech like I would do in Toastmasters. Well, what I do to start off is the top right. I have an idea book. It sounds really lame, I know, when you say it. I actually have my idea book on my phone. But then I have another workbook where I write weird ideas I ever hear in. And any quote I like, or if I see something interesting in a movie, or if I have a wacky memory come back into my head, I'll write it in that book and I'll try build a speech around it. Secondly, you don't eat a whole elephant on its own. You eat an elephant piece by piece. So what I do for every speech I'm about to give, I pick a theme. Now that theme could be something very simple. It could be, let's have a really organized speech. Let's have a beginning, a middle, and an introduction. I'm amazed at how many speech deliverers cannot actually do this. I was in I've been in some company meetings and people have like 30, 40 slides when they could have shrunk it to 3. Very easy, very simple to do. Or maybe you want to get better at delivering a joke. So try to crowbar into a speech or a meeting. You know, I want to say something funny. I want the audience to laugh in this. Or maybe you want to convey some emotion. Or maybe you want to have a really successful Q&A at the end of your speech. Start small, guys. Think about what you really want to work on and build from there. And don't let an idea go to waste. Write it down somewhere. We all have mobile phones in our pocket. It's called a smartphone for a reason. Put a message on there. Hey, I really like this idea. Let me see if I can share that with a group of people. So, this is one of my favorite quotes ever. For those bookworms out there, you'll recognize it's from Sun Tzu, The Art of War. Every battle is won before it's ever fought. Preparation, practicing, drilling, and rehearsing is everything. So for a Toastmasters speech, I'll spend anywhere from 6 months to 3 months building and practicing it. And when I'm talking about practicing, that's the bottom left picture there. It's actually a photo I have to the right of me in a big glass frame of it's a vulture's wings. And I stand in front of that reflection. I can't actually see my face, which is good because it's not distracting then, but I can see how my body is moving and I can see how other people will be able to see me. And I'll practice my speech anywhere from 3 to 6 times a day. I know it sounds a lot and it's excessive, but it's what helps me. And if you want to get really good at something, if you want it to be second nature to you, you have to practice. So when you actually go to stand on that stage or in that meeting, it's like you're speaking your native tongue language. You can just rattle off the presentation. And the best thing is, once you know the basic presentation, the lyrics or the script, if you like, then you can start getting creative because you'll be able to improv certain things within your speech. So pick a mirror or a picture and just practice. Don't go off the cuff. No battle is ever won if it's fought improperly. Do a little bit of preparation before. And on that note, to get a really good speech, you have to prep mentally, which builds onto that fear of public speaking. So you stand on a stage and you feel your stomach turn. You feel people are judging you. Everyone's looking at you. They're waiting for your speech to collapse and fail. So how do we prepare for that? Again, that's done in the practice. So you're practicing the lyrics, the words of the speech, so you know how to deliver it. But then how do you get out of that mindset that everyone is here to hate on my speech? That goes down to my bottom right picture. Now, I get to do a lot of travel for my work, which is really cool, or even just walking or cycling in London. I'll deliver the speech to myself in public. In London, we have a really cool part of the city. It's called Speaker's Corner. It's just by Hyde Park. And it's where people, they're mainly preachers, go and they stand on plinths there and they just deliver a sermon to a crowd who usually heckles them. But these speakers are so advanced that they are able to just keep delivering their speech and not care what anybody thinks about them. That's the frame of mind you want to be in. So I'll be walking through an airport, heck, sometimes on the tube, and I'll deliver the speech really quietly to myself. And I may get an occasional weird glance or whatever, but it gets me into the mindset that nobody really cares what I'm doing. And if they ask me a question, that's great. You've made a new friend. You can talk to someone. You can build that confidence. But it just gets you into the mindset. The world is a friendly place, and you can do public speaking anywhere. So the pre-speech. So you've got your speech in 5 minutes. How do you get yourself mentally, verbally, physically psyched up to do it? Again, 3 weird pictures, and please try guess in the chat box what they are. But firstly, empty stomach. Now, I've done a workout around lunchtime with a friend of mine in the park, and I had a smoothie after that, but that's it. Other than that, my stomach is pretty empty. I don't know about you guys, but when I have a big meal at work, I'm incredibly sluggish. I can be a bit tired and cumbersome sometimes, whereas if my stomach's fairly empty, I'm really agile, I'm quite dynamic, and I'm always thinking about that next meal as well. So when it does come, it's quite delicious. Whenever I'm going to meet a client, or a prospect, I should say, in the sales world, I probably only eat like an egg on toast for breakfast, something really small and really, really light, just so my body can better focus on what's going on in here and out here, instead of what's going on in my belly. Now, water. Yes, it's the giver and taker in life. It's very important to stay hydrated. But a little tip which has helped me, I don't rely on alcohol, coffee, or any kind of stimulant to do public speech. All I have before is water. And if there's any of my Toastmaster friends on the line, sure, they may have a beer. It does build confidence, but it's not for me. Guys, if you want to get good at public speaking, this has to come internally. You can't. I've tried public speaking on coffee. I've tried public speaking on alcohol, and it's just not for me. I don't like it. Actually, the other day, I tried something new, as I'm an experimenter. I heard a rumor that politicians and rock stars have a cigarette before they go on stage because it helps them get a head rush and builds their confidence because of the nicotine. I actually went to the shop next to me and bought Nicorette. If my mum's watching this, she's going to hate it. I just wanted to see like how it would affect me. And again, it was horrible. I had this burning sensation in my throat. I felt lightheaded. I could not have delivered a speech like I'm doing now on nicotine. Wasn't great. Have a bit of water. And as you'll see, there's a bit of lemon in there. So cheers. Tastes good. It's healthy. And I just find that the lemon like gives a little bit of lubrication to the throat. It's really good. So warming up. Now that brings me on to the 2 right-hand pictures there. So the woman coming through the door and the guy yelling in the crowd. I'll start with the top one there. So what I like to do before I'm giving a speech, Toastmasters or a client meeting, or even to my office friends, I like to greet everyone in the room, as many people as I can. I'll stand by the door and I'll say, hey, good to see you, how are you? Again, that just gets my mind psyched up that everyone there is my friend, and it builds my voice, it warms up my vocal cords as well because they're getting used. You didn't hear it, but before this call, I muted myself and I was humming very gently the words to Phil Collins, In the Air Tonight. I'll do that in Toastmasters as well. If you sit near me, you may think, what the heck is Matt doing? But it's really good because it gets my vocal cords really, really warmed up. When I stand on the stage, I'm not like, my voice doesn't crack. It's really deep and it's very controlled. So I'll just sit there and I'll just go in different tones. And when I'm ready to go on stage, I'm done. And again, the mindset is, I really don't care what people think of me. I'm trying not to be distracting. I'm trying to hum very silently. But if someone does know, well, great, they know. And that brings me on to the right-hand side. So the guy heckling. Again, you'll hear me do this in company meetings or in Toastmasters. So not a bad heckle where you say, get off the stage and you boo. You do a good, positive heckle. You engage with the speaker. You clap loudly. You shake people's hands. You say, oh, brilliant point. That was really good. You laugh. You get bought into what the speaker in front of you is doing. That gets you getting warmed up that everyone around you is a friend. You're all in this together. And it kind of makes you laugh a bit as well. It takes the edge off things. It removes that horrible nervous energy you get in your belly. So just do it. Like, seriously, you're all there to be entertained. In the words of Kurt Cobain in Nirvana, here we are now, entertain us. Let's get bought into whatever the heck's going on. Warm up your voice with a hum, warm up your body by greeting people and laughing, and that will in turn warm up your mind, that everyone around you is a friend and they're here to listen and be entertained by you. So we've done the pre-pre, we've done the pre-speech. What the heck do we do when we're standing on a stage in front of 200, 300, 10 people? Now, I can't actually tell you what to write in a speech. That's up to you. But I can tell you what to do. So firstly, transfer the power. Super basic thing. When you go on the stage, the person who introduced you, shake their hand. Hey, thank you very much. It signals to the audience and to you that you are now the A team. You're in control, you're in command. Just shake the hand. It's a nice mental thing to do, and it's proper manners. Now, nerves. So you've shaken the hand, you're standing on the stage, and then the belly turns inside out, and you start to sweat, you go clammy, you forget your words. Now, nerves is a horrible word. I wish it was vanished from the dictionary. Why don't you change the word nervous to excited? Whenever I'm feeling nervous, and I was feeling really nervous before this, I just stopped. I smiled to myself and I went, no, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to tell people who I am and give them some advice. And again, because you're vocalizing it, you're sort of tricking your mind into thinking, yeah, you are excited. Don't always listen to what's going on up here. Vocalize what you want to believe. So you've got over the nerves. How do you stand? I see a lot of people standing like they're in a regiment formation, like soldiers. What I like to do and what I like to recommend, and I'm doing it now, I won't turn the webcam down, might be a bit strange, but do a power stance. When you see rock stars on stage, they always have their feet slightly wider than their shoulders. Get on stage, stand there, do the power stance, and don't start speaking. That is the most important thing, and it's the thing I've discovered in the past couple of months. Now, this is going to be a bit controversial, but we're all here to learn, and it's something that helped me. We all watch, I'm sure, TED Talks and people give, lectures online. But if you really want to get good at public speaking, like a rock star level, watch the all-timers, right? So Donald Trump and Hitler. Again, super controversial, I know, I shouldn't be saying it, but watch when they go on stage and how they act. There's a very famous video, you'll see it in many historical documentaries on Nazi Germany. Hitler getting on stage and the crowd is going wild. He hasn't said anything yet. He's literally just walked on the stage and he stands there for about 3-4 minutes, just with his arms crossed, just waiting for the crowd to shut up. He's just there. He's like, yep. And when he actually opens his mouth, when the crowd is completely silent, it's like mayhem. People are hanging off his every word. They're heckling. They're just absolutely absorbed in what he's saying. He's almost hypnotized the crowd because he's shown them he's in control. They are not in control. So stand there. And Trump does the same. He gets on stage and he kind of just hangs out there. He smiles, he looks around, he waits for the crowd to shut up, and then he goes into it. He is the one in power. You'll also notice when people in Donald Trump's rallies, he's a very interesting speaker. One of the things he does, he pauses a lot during the speech. He allows the crowd to laugh along or heckle or boo. Don't always keep speaking. If the crowd wants to laugh, let them have it. give them a little bit of power back. So how do we get the audience hooked? So you've done the power pose, you've paused for about 5-10 seconds. How do you actually open a speech? Now, a couple of ways you can do it. You can ask the audience a question. Ladies and gentlemen, has anyone here ever had an absolutely terrible aeroplane journey? Hands up. Not only are you leading, but you're getting the audience involved in the speech. They're already engaged with you, and your nerves will be just vanished by that when you see the audience is actually responding to your question. Or maybe you could give a fact. Did you know that Novak, I'm just making this up by the way, is the most common surname in Poland? Let me tell you why that is. So you start with a big, bold claim, and then you're going to go into why that is. Or maybe it's something in the office space. Ladies and gentlemen, do you know why sales were up 50% this year? Let me tell you why. Or maybe you could start at the end of a story. This is a little bit more of an advanced speaker technique, and it's something we use a lot in Toastmasters. But why do you have to start at the beginning of everything? Why not start at the end? It could be something like, and it was at that moment when I looked at the bill from the restaurant that I realized I wasn't going to be able to pay my mortgage this month. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you why and what happened. Or maybe you can just start something very simple with, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for having me here. You'll be amazed about the amount of speakers I've seen who just get on the stage and start talking. Get on the stage, greet people, and do a little introduction. Again, it's a very basic speaking technique, but it's one that's often forgotten. It's a really powerful thing to do if you can show proper structure and proper manners and respect to the audience. Speaking of structure, how the heck do we build and deliver a speech? So what I'd recommend is the rule of 3. 3 is a power number. It's a magical number. Beginning, middle, introduction. The beginning has 3 parts. Has the greetings, the ladies and gentlemen. Let me share with you what I'm going to talk to you about today, and then let me have a tie into the body of the speech. And in the body, you always have 3 points. Not 5, not 10, not 7, not 2. Give it 3. Shrink it down, guys, and deliver something concise that's short and easily digestible. And then the ending and the conclusion, again, 3 points. Tell them what you told them, retell them again, and ask for questions. And remember, less is more. People's attention span is getting shorter by the day, I think. It's probably due to social media, but who knows? You don't have to pack so much data, statistics, facts, stories. There's a really good song by an artist called, I think it's Ben Howard, who sings about depth over distance, emotional depth over the distance of something, I'm not sure. But think about that. People want to be bought into 1, 2, max 3 different points, 3 different facts, 3 different stories. Don't overload people with information. Keep it short, keep it concise, keep it well structured. And as I mentioned, the closing, it's very easy to do. Just tell them what you told them. Sum it up and allow for questions. Say, guys, today I hope I've enlightened you as to why sales have been up 50%, as to why I had that crazy bill in the restaurant the other month, or why Novak is the most popular name in Poland. I'm happy to take some questions now. Or you can just say, thank you very much for listening to me, and on to our next speaker. Thank you very much. Keep it short, keep it concise, don't hog the stage. But maybe a couple of bonus points here, guys. So what if you're given no preparation? Literally someone asks you, hey, you've got 1 minute and I want you on that stage and you have to talk about this topic. Or, hey, what do you think about this? Can you share some thoughts on that? I always think, and I've said at the start of this, you have to be prepared, but sometimes you're not. So what I would recommend is whenever you're not prepared or you've got barely any time, try get as much preparation into that 30 seconds, that 5 minutes that you have. And when you actually are about to deliver the answer to someone, repeat the question. Say, thank you very much. I was asked to tell why frying pans are better when they're washed in the dishwasher than washed by hand. So when you show that you recognize the question, it will get your mind warmed up and start processing the answer, and then give the answer. So I think that washing machines wash better because they have more powerful detergent, and here's why. So you're building that structure vocally. So you've given the introduction, which is the question, you've given the answer, which is also part of the introduction, and then you're going on to the body. Remember, it's going to happen a lot. Like, you will be wrong occasionally, but it's better to try than not try at all. To shy away is not good. Always try. Filler words. Oh my gosh, it happens so much. People going, or like. Like is a terrible one. I'm not sure where this word has come from, but people who crowbar in like into every second word in a sentence. Remember, if it's like something, it's not unique. It's not its own thing. How do we get rid of those? You may have noticed, I did it just now, that sometimes I pause, or I drag words out, or I don't say anything at all. Instead of using a filler word, then you don't have to say anything. Or if you want to give your mind some time to process more information, just drag that word out. I mean, there's nothing wrong with talking a bit slower occasionally. It's okay. And just try keep a limit on the word like. It takes practice, it takes time, but it's a skill you build, and eventually those filler words will be vanished. And that brings me to the end of the Matt Robertson quick fixes. So to be my own pilgrim and to be true to my word, let me quickly sum up what I've told you. Take every opportunity to practice, guys. You can shy away from this fear of public speaking for as long as you want, but there's going to be a moment when it's going to be hopefully not life and death, but really important to something you have to do. You have to stand on a stage and deliver a company report. You have to give a best man speech, or you have to shout, "I love you," through the crowd of people to your loved ones. There's going to be a moment when it's going to be really important, and you're going to wish you didn't take action sooner. So get on it now. Don't wait until next week. Figure out now how you can get good at public speaking, and any opportunity you're given in work, in play, take it. Even if you don't know anything about it, it's better to commit and then think about the rest later. Time is time. As I said, I wasn't born a public speaker. I didn't win the London Toastmasters with no practice. This is something I've been working on for 6 years. In my free time, in my Toastmasters time, in my work, going on dates with people. This is something I am always building on, and I'm by no means at the end of my journey yet. Next year, I hope to win the London not just the London Toastmasters, but the England finals. I want to represent my country somewhere. Hopefully I'll do it, but I'm not there yet. And remember, every battle is won before it's ever fought. Not only do you have to practice, but you have to be ready for when that moment comes. Remember that, always be prepared. And last but not least, it would not be over without the upsell. Join Toastmasters. It is the best thing I think I've ever invested in. It is fantastic. It is a safe space with wonderful people, people who are like-minded, and everyone wants to help you get better as a public speaker. I'm sure there's a public Toastmasters club near you. There's loads in London. There's loads in every major city in the world, and they are truly global. Last but not least, I want to say thank you for everyone for taking their time and listening to me today. And I'll hand back over to Via Pro before I take some Q&A. But thank you very much, everyone. I'm your servant for the next half an hour during Q&A. So whatever you want, please don't be afraid to ask. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Matt. That was really interesting. There were so many good things from this your webinars, from the presentations. The only thing I'm not too sure about is your choice of the humming with the Phil Collins reference. I'm not too sure about that, but I love everything else. Especially, I think with public speaking, it's not really, not everyone having to do public speaking, but I can really apply what you're saying in the daily life, like maybe talking in a meeting or literally just talking to my friends. So thank you for that. And before we get to obviously the Q&A, talking to Mr. Robertson, I just want to remind you again, just 1 minute about the donations in our campaign. So again, if you can see on the screen here, the QR code, you can just scan it using your smartphone to get you to the donation page. And there's going to be 6 more webinars as part of our series as well coming up in the next 3 weeks. So if you're interested, please like our page, and then obviously you get information about what's coming up next. And of course, please help us to reach our targets of £3,000 by 12th of June. So now we're just going to get to the exciting, all the excitements of actually asking Matt all the questions, all the people, actually loads of people asking questions now. So we're going to start from the beginning. I think I'm going to use my privilege of being a host and ask you a direct question first. So Matt,
Yep.
My first question for you is, have you ever been in a situation where obviously when you're public speaking, something unexpected coming up, maybe you got a little bit of not too sure, you're in the middle of something and you're not too sure what to say next and how you overcome that?
Yeah, all the time. So before this, you may have noticed I closed my windows. I'm quite hot right now. A scooter went past. It's incredibly loud and incredibly distracting. You're going to get these things all the time. In the Toastmasters meeting, it could be someone walking in late. It could be someone sneezing, or maybe you're walking up the stage and you fall over. Loads of little intricacies can happen, and it's really, really annoying. It's a skill though to be able to ignore that. So if something does happen, just take a quick pause. Don't acknowledge it though. Just don't acknowledge it. If someone spills their drink, don't go, oh, is it okay? Because you'll break your thought process then. Just let the drink spill, let the door open, and then go on. Don't say anything, don't acknowledge it. Just pause, maybe nod, and continue. Don't let it break your chain of thought though. They're going to happen all the time. Distractions happen. Just keep focusing on the present.
Most memorable one you ever got in terms of something very unexpected, something that you have to fix during your speech? What's the worst thing ever happened?
The worst thing. So when I do nothing too crazy in Toastmasters, to be honest, this is quite a controlled meeting. In my last company presentation, I did a live one. People were heckling because I'm quite a heckable person, I guess. Just let them roll with it. Let people have their fun, but know that you are the one in control. You're the one who's delivering this. Sometimes when I'm trying to practice at home, my flatmate will come into the kitchen, or we'll get like an Amazon delivery, and it's really annoying. And sure, I'll have to actually go and get the Amazon delivery, but just try and focus on what you can literally see in front of you, and don't let this thing take a hold of your speech. Okay,
perfect. We got a question from Angfung, which got the most upvoted. How would you critique Barack Obama public speaking? Are there techniques to pick up from him? So we talk about Hitler, Trump, and now this is Obama.
Yes, the most controversial figures, right? Obama is probably one of my other favorite public speakers. From what I understand, though, he's not as improv as Trump is. So Trump doesn't use what's it called, the teleprompter. Obama is very scripted, but Obama has an incredibly calm way of talking. And I've actually seen videos of him getting heckled and getting booed, and again, he just lets it go by, and then he carries on talking. He actually just does what I did there. He doesn't have any filler words, but he'll pause a lot. He'll look up, he'll look down, just to gather his train of thoughts as he's processing. Look, I know Trump and Hitler are very controversial people to study from. Probably best to study from Trump than the other person. But if you want to, build yourself off of Obama, go for it. Absolutely. He is a great public speaker, but just watch his nuanced points and try and incorporate them into your own delivery.
Okay, perfect. Hopefully that answers your questions. Second one, probably something you briefly mentioned in your speech as well, is how is online public speaking different from this sort of in-person public speaking? And do you use any different techniques, and how you still gain people attention from obviously doing, let's say, Zoom compared to like the real life?
Yeah, online public speaking is, it's very surreal. It's kind of like a contrast, right? Online public speaking. So it was something we had to adapt to very quickly in Toastmasters and in my office. What I would say is don't treat it any differently. So stand up. You'll notice I'm standing up right now. It's something I didn't talk about in my presentation just now. When you stand, you get more oxygen into your body, and you can also be very dynamic with your movements. Whereas if you're sitting down, you're kind of like this, and your body's scrunched over. Not much air is going in. But stand and be professional, and more importantly, look directly into that microphone. Don't look down here on the side. No, like stare straight into the microphone. Act as if you're having a one-on-one conversation with someone. I actually have my video just beneath the camera right now, so you might see me occasionally looking down. It's a little distracting, but look into that microphone. And if you can't, just have like a little target above it. Take a sticky note and put it on the rear of it. Other than that, I haven't found too many differences in online and public speaking. It's something that we should all be used to right now, but just treat it as you would normal public speaking. That's it.
Yeah, perfect. And I think you deliver amazingly well today. So yeah, we all learned from the expert a little bit. Okay, we've got a question from Huang Chen, and I'm going to let you actually talk to Matt now just to shake things up a little bit. So are you ready, Huang? And I just unmute you so you can say hi to Matt. Hello.
Okay. Yeah, first of all, it was a very interesting speech, Matt. Thanks for that. So my question is, during the speech, right, if there's no response in the audience, like complete silent, right? Oftentimes we feel very nervous. Do you have any tips to overcome that?
So just so I understand your question. So is it when you deliver maybe a joke or some kind of a punchline and no one reacts?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's happened to me. I think it's called bombing. You got to get better at your humor. I'm kidding, by the way. No, it happens occasionally. Sometimes it's not you, by the way. It is the audience. Maybe they're a bit stiff. But when you deliver a joke, try say it with a bit of, a big cheeky smile on your face, and maybe it's just working on the delivery of it as well. So what is a joke? A joke is an exaggeration of something. So think about that and be like, guys, you'll never guess what the hell just happened to me, right? Oh my gosh, it was crazy. That's how I would deliver something funny. But if I'm delivering something a bit more emotional and sensitive, I'll actually lower my voice. I'll talk very slowly, and I'll make people hang on every word. It all depends on the delivery. I hope that answers your question, sir.
Sometimes, let's say we are talking about some serious stuff, but we realize that, okay, there's some, very silent audience. So do you recommend, we stop a little bit and, connect with the audience somehow, and then we can resume later?
Yeah. Oh, I think you've just answered your own question there. So if you're talking about something serious, maybe use one of the things I shared in the presentation. So ask the audience, hey guys, how many of you have experienced this? Tell me. You've experienced it? What was your experience with it? It's okay to interact with an audience from time to time.
Okay, cool. Yep, thanks, Matt.
Yeah, and Juan, before you go away, completely forgot really my bad. Just introduce yourself and show everyone where you're from, so we can get a bit of an idea where everyone is today.
Yeah, so I'm Hoang. I'm currently living in Singapore. I'm working for Grab.
Wicked.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. Hello from Singapore. To Singapore. What time is it over there?
It's 11:30 right now.
11:30 in the evening. So that's dedication. So yeah.
Yeah.
Perfect. We get to, and thank you. We get to the next Q&A. We got a question from Hill Nguyen. So I'm gonna let you speak now, Hill. Hello.
Hey, firstly, great speech. I learned a lot from the speech and I took a lot of notes. So I'm here. I'm a management consultant from Accenture. I'm based in London.
The rivals.
So I'm actually part of the Viet Pro organizing team for this event as well. And I think that from your presentation, I'm super impressed by your nonverbal communication, especially by your hand gesture. It really kind of help guide myself through your points really clearly and effectively. And I would love to hear some tips from you on how to practice and kind of become natural with the nonverbal communication.
Yeah, thank you. By the way, I have a lot of friends who work at Accenture, so I love it, honestly. So that brings me on to this. So that's the picture I was talking about, and that's how I work on my nonverbals. So I can't actually see my face or like what I'm wearing. I can just see the outline of myself. But because I can't see those details, it forces me to go from like here to here. So it forces me to be a bit more dynamic with my movements. Now, it comes with how you deliver the points as well. So back to Donald Trump, you'll notice when he's talking, he does a lot of like this to emphasize certain key things. So maybe you're in a meeting in work and you could say something like, listen guys, I want to talk about 3 things today. Number 1, number 2, number 3. This is why I'm talking about them. On the one hand, there's this. Oh, I don't know if any of you have considered this. Hey, by the way, audience, let me quickly ask you something. It's fine if you want to go from here, but there's nothing wrong with a little bit of that, right? A little bit of hand tango if you want. I would not recommend standing there again with your hands at your side. Definitely not arms crossed. Definitely not leaning against anything else. But having open palms around like this, it's fine. And just walk around, do a little bit of this, and practice in front of, you can practice in front of a mirror if you don't have a big picture like that. But watch yourself and watch how you're moving your arms. Again, this all comes in the practice, right? But it also will take practice to build upon this. I hope that's answered your question, sir.
Yeah, that great answer as well. So really appreciate your tips.
You're welcome.
Perfect. And again, we will come back. Juan got another question. He got a burning desire to talk to you today. So I'll let him talk now. Hello again, Juan.
Oh, yeah, just a small question. So when preparing your speech, do you write all your scripts beforehand in your presentation? Or do you write some key ideas and then you practice?
Yeah. So one of my partners in crime is actually on this call, Swarajit. He's one of my Toastmaster buddies, and him and I kind of throw ideas around whenever I'm having like, not writer's block, but I'm trying to figure out how to tie ideas together. So a speech for me always starts in the idea book. So the one I'm going to give a speech next week, I think, and it's on a crazy restaurant bill I had, and actually an interview I had at a management consultancy. And I was like, how the hell can I tie these 2 speeches together? So what I did is I actually literally drew a mind map, and the one was up here and one was up here. And I drew arrows like, what did I learn from this? And once I figured out what the similarities were, so the 3 arrows that came out, I was like, well, if I hadn't paid the restaurant bill, I wouldn't have an awesome story to tell. And if I hadn't had done this crazy thing I did in an interview, I wouldn't have an awesome story to tell. So then the moral of the story is always, go for, what you find challenging, or so you always have a better story to tell. But from there, once I've got that, I'll then go on to PowerPoint, and I'll start writing my script out like that. So it's not like, a full, Lord of the Rings storybook. It's just bullet points and key points that I want to tell. And then the strength comes in linking those points with what you say. So one point could be opening Moscow, describe restaurant. The second one is move to best table in the house. And the third point is why are we getting such good service? So then you look at these 3 points and you're not reading a script and you see, okay, describe the restaurant. The restaurant was like this. And then I look at the next point and it is move to the best table in the house. And then you can see these just key points, and the key is just trying to link them together, not read a script. I've seen people stand up and, you know, literally read a script and it's incredibly boring and it's very robotic. But if you can just do PowerPoints with bullet points, that's really good and really strong. And then you can have, you know, 5 slides, beginning, 3 points in the middle, and then the 5th slide is the conclusion. And it's not, you know, 10 pages, it's super short. I hope that answers your question, sir.
That's awesome. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Right. Then now we got the next questions from Ella. So hello.
Hi, this is Ella. So I'm speaking from St. Andrews. I'm quarantining here.
Ah,
Hope you enjoy it.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely beautiful. I love it. So I think my question is, how do you incorporate humor into your speech? So I think there's 2 sides to my question. So like the first side is I've been really into stand-up comedy these days, and I see how like stand-up comedians can really incorporate humor into like even like the most serious topic that they bring up. And then I just wonder like how you could do that. And then the other side of the coin would be like, how do you incorporate humor into a serious topic? Like when you're like presenting something to your boss, or just like talking about topics like poverty or death, for example.
Okay, that's some serious topics actually. But no, I've been there actually fairly recently. So as I mentioned, what I understand about humor, you know, to really boil it down, basic humor is an exaggeration of something. So the speech I'm giving right now, it's quite a serious topic. I was sitting in an interview with a top tier management consultancy company, the final round, and they literally told me, no, we are not going to give you the job. And then I just started to pitch the partner why I deserve the job. And I ended up getting another interview. Quite a serious topic, quite banal, but how do I crowbar humor into that? So firstly, I start with an exaggeration, and the exaggeration is describing the interviewer. So he was dressed like an undertaker. Again, if you know what an undertaker is, right? It's someone who literally buries or carries the coffin and then buries dead people. So he had a really dark suit on, and he had a huge gold Rolex on his chubby wrist. So you're actually describing like, yeah, he probably had a problem with his weight. God, so out of order when you think about it, right? Yeah. And then you know, after he told me no, it's quite serious. Like, no, we don't want you to work with us. So then I talk about my mental process, and my mental process is getting ready to go back home and telling my parents I didn't get it. And mum and dad, if you hear any noises that sound like hanging later, don't be alarmed. Right? So you're taking like, again, extreme, which is I didn't get a job, I'm gonna go hang myself. Again, super sensitive, right? But you're adding like it is a playful topic. But when you're talking about something really serious like poverty and death. So I did a speech earlier this year, which is the one I won my club's competition on, took me through the next round. And it was about a really crazy episode of my life when one of my flatmates actually tried to commit suicide. Now, I started off the speech with a funny story because I was awoken in the middle of the night and I was drunk and it was hot. So you know that like drunken sleep you have where it's kind of like sort of slumbering, and I was actually naked as well at the same time. So I'm putting all these images in an audience's head and like, oh my God, what the hell is Matt going to talk about? And then I talk about going downstairs naked, pulling open my front door, and there's 10 policemen outside, and everyone's like, oh my God, is it a striptease? And then I say they were there because someone was about to kill themselves and he called the police. So again, you're talking about the extreme, you know, wacky situation you're in. And then you go down and it's like, oh, there's 10 policemen, what the hell? And at that moment, my voice will suddenly change. So I've got this big smile on my face. I'm talking loudly. But then they said, "Sir, we need to come in right now. Someone is trying to kill themselves in your bathroom." So you juggle like the wacky, loud, adventurous side with, let me, narrow this focus and share with you something really serious. That's how I do it. So go from the exaggeration to the serious point, and make sure you're changing your tone and voice at the same time. Just juggling different things. Is that okay?
Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome.
Perfect. Thank you, Ella. Okay, on the lines of something humorous, we've got another questions from Anh Phung about this sort of topic. So I'm going to let him talk now, and he can introduce himself as well. So yeah, hello.
Hey Matt, thank you so much for an amazing presentation. Definitely pick up some stuff from there. So my name is An, based in London, currently actually unemployed. I'm going to start a new job in 2 weeks' time.
That's
And my question was actually touching on Ella, is I've also noticed a lot of the techniques and tips that you mentioned, a lot of the stand-up comedians use, especially like the famous ones. And what I wanted to ask you actually is there anything, any tips, any techniques that you've actually seen stand-up comedian do that you use for yourself? And if there is, would you be able to mention the name of the stand-up comedian?
Yeah. So you'll probably notice you'll gravitate towards certain comedians and certain TED talkers, for example, as well. So I really like Dave Chappelle, Kevin Hart, and Michael McIntyre. Actually, very different comedians, but their styles are very interesting. So Dave Chappelle, he's changed his style to be talking about very serious topics, and then having like a really funny punchline in them. So he talks about this story recently where he discovered his son was smoking marijuana, and how he mourned his innocence when he found the blunt, and then he started smoking it anyway. Like it's sort of similar to what I was talking about before. He went from something very sad, and then had the wacky, crazy exaggeration, which is the dad finding a blunt and smoking it. Kevin Hart's very similar. He'll deliver like, a very interesting insight, like, women, let me tell you about what you're like to men. And he'll say it in a funny way, but it's always got a very serious undertone to it. It actually gives advice. But if you want to look at someone quite basic, it's Michael McIntyre. So he's a British comedian. And he will literally talk about anything, and it's funny. Like, I'm talking about anything. It's called observational humor. So where you see people doing everyday things, like, well, quarantine in London right now is people standing outside a shop, right? But he makes it funny, and he takes it not only the way he's saying it, he takes it again to the exaggeration. So one of the things you could do is like, seriously guys, like, why are we standing outside a shop right now? I know it's important that we quarantine, but like, it's like we're waiting for a nightclub, and I've never waited in line for anything other than a nightclub. Not only is that, there's a freaking bouncer now in Tesco's, and it's literally the one in, one out, and you go up to him, you have to pay him respect. I'll ask him, hey man, I know the DJ, do you mind if I hop on in? And he'll still say no. So you can literally, honestly, talk about anything. Tell me a story about when you went to the park and the wacky thing you saw there. It may be someone working out in a really weird way. It may be in a couple getting a bit too non-socially distant. Just talk about what you see, describe it in detail as well, and add the pure weirdest thing you can think of in there. It could be a smell, it could be a taste you saw, or something you tasted, sorry, or something you see. So build on the senses with an exaggeration. Go like, I was in the park today, Jesus, it stunk. Like something like that, right? Like the way you say it. I hope that helps.
Oh, thank you very much.
And just one thing, I just want to talk about that as well, is I feel like in terms of being funny, being humorous, one of the things that I find as well is just do it if you feel comfortable. Don't try too hard on it. And that's just my thought, because sometimes you see somebody talk and you can see they rehearse a lot on their sort of joke, but you can see you're trying a bit too hard. So yeah, again, back to Matt's point about just you have to prepare, but also be very comfortable as well.
Yeah.
And we got a question from a mysterious person, anonymous attendee, asking about, would you recommend people to get comfortable with their voice? And I guess another side of this question is more of, let's say somebody might not have a loud voice, or maybe they're quite nervous about their high-pitched voice or like low-tone voice. How do they sort of get practice and make it better and actually incorporate that into the speech and make it better?
So how do they get comfortable with their own voice? Yeah, that's an interesting question. I think that was how I felt when I first started Toastmasters. Like, man, my voice and my haircut sucked, by the way. I had a terrible haircut back then.
We're not here to talk about that, but
yeah. But it's, again, I'm sure you have a beautiful voice, whoever you are, in a non-weird way. Like, I'm sure it's a fantastic voice, but it probably needs some training, right? So everyone before they go to the gym doesn't have a great body. You go to the gym and a year later, you look like Hugh Jackman from Wolverine, or someone else you aspire to be. So your voice is fine how it is, but it can always be better. And the way it gets better is by you doing voice warm-up techniques, like I described, me humming or me singing. Watch a choir when they go on stage. They're warming up when they go on stage. They're usually singing a little like tune, or they'll be energizing their body like this, like they're getting ready. So you can work on it that way, and then practice makes perfect. You'll start to be able to change your vocal tonality, the way you say certain words. You'll be able to learn diction as well, so new words that come in and make you sound very intelligent, unlike me. It just takes time, takes practice. So start off with something basic, some vocal warm-up techniques. I'm sure you can find some on YouTube. Start singing in the shower. I love doing that, and it flexes my vocal range. And then just start, trying something different. Try stringing out certain words. Try speeding up in a sentence. Try slowing down. Just practice. I'm sure you have a lovely voice, but it can always be better.
Perfect. Yeah. Just don't choose Phil Collins in the end.
Yeah.
Okay. We probably got about 3 more minutes for Q&A. So I've got 2 more questions, and hopefully we can answer that within 3 minutes. So we got Jala next. Hello. Let me know.
Hello.
Hello. Please introduce yourself first, and then.
Yes, my name is Jalal, the name from Kazakhstan. I very much like a presentation made by Matthews, very strong. Me and my wife happy about it. My questions is next year I'm going to US and I would like to improve my accents.
Yeah.
Do you have any tips on that subject so everybody can be able to understand my strong accents?
Yeah. Interesting question. So I mentioned I grew up in South Africa. I was actually born here, then went to South Africa, came back here, and then went to Germany. So my accent is quite flexible. It's in flux. So depends who I talk to. Sometimes it sounds, I think this is my most natural tone, but when I'm talking to South Africans, it sounds really South African. When I'm talking to Americans, it sounds really British. It's really strange. What I have done in the past is literally I watch like a Hugh Grant film, and then I'll just try speak like Hugh Grant after it. I know English isn't it's probably not your first language. It's probably Kazakh or Russian. Just watch some very basic television. When I was learning German, for example, I would watch the Muppets, and it just helped me like learn knowing the language, but also like what is the accent of these people. I assume you might know a certain movie star. Just watch that movie star and then try imitate him. And the more imitation you do, you'll slowly become like him. But also, your voice is your voice, right? You can only make it sound like yourself, and that's the most natural. So people will also know when you're not speaking how you normally do. So maybe just keep trying to speak English as well, and you'll learn your voice, your accent will change to become less Kazakh pronounced, and you'll learn more diction and vocabulary as well.
Yes. Yes, thank you. We have a very famous star named Corky Butcheks. He speaks nice English. I will try and follow his advice.
Okay. I'll look for him on YouTube later. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, and I think we're perfect with timing. We literally got one more questions. Okay, from some mysterious attendee again. Could you share your point on how to speak professionally, but then still showing your personal identity?
So one more time.
So share your point on how to speak professionally, but still showing your personal identity.
Yeah. So when I'm in a sales meeting, right? I have to be very professional because I'm literally there to sell someone a product or a service. I'm an ambassador to the company, so I have to present I am the face of the company. This is who I am. So before the meeting happens, you'll meet the person in the lobby, and I'll be very polite, and I'll talk about something weird that's happened to me maybe on that day. So when I was last in Sweden meeting a prospect, I had a really weird experience on the plane ride in. Like on the one side of the plane, it was this beautiful, sunny, picturesque view of Stockholm. The other side, it was the craziest, I'm not even kidding, the craziest thunderstorm I've ever seen. And it was like purple and violet against the sky. So I was like, is that something normal that happens here? Like, what's going on in Sweden? So before the meeting, you're kind of setting the precedent that I'm going to be polite, but I'll try, squeeze in a little bit of a weirdness about myself in a nice way. I'm not going to go overboard. And then during the meeting, I always let the prospect lead it. I'll try gauge what they're like, and if they say something funny, I'll laugh. Sometimes an over exaggeration, like, man, that's great. And then I'll try, add a little bit of my own joke on top of it. But it's in a very professional way. It's not like, yeah, man, like, let me tell you about when I was at the club the other week. It's crazy. They'll say something, funny about, so I'm in supply chain and procurement consulting, and I'll say, oh yeah, like that's something that happened to me the other day in this conversation with this client, and they'll like it. And then I go back to the topic of the meeting. So one of the people I studied when I was learning sales was Jordan Belfort, the star of The Wolf of Wall Street. He has this technique, it's called the straight line technique. So you start here and end here, and the end is the close when you sell something. And you want to be a straight line. But throughout the meeting, the client is going to give you like objections, they're going to say weird things, and the whole time you have to keep bringing it back down to the line or back up to the line. So you want to keep the goal in mind. So yeah, like we're going to have a little joke, but then I really need to tell you about this one thing, or I need to ask you this one thing as well. So before the meeting, set the precedent, like it's going to be a fun meeting, you're a fun person, you're polite and respectful. And then during the meeting, try crowbar in a little joke there, it's fine, but you're there to be professional overall. And showing yourself, it just comes with confidence as well. So yeah, I'm in sales, I hope I'm quite confident. It'll just take time. Again, it's a skill you'll learn.
Perfect. Yeah, I think we finish all the questions, and so yeah, it's really the time now. I just want to say a massive thanks to Matt for taking his time to share with us his journey of how to become an award-winning public speaker, talking a little bit about hints and tips, and also Toastmasters as well. So hopefully some of you will feel inspired and to join Toastmasters as well, and also get onto our donation page as well and make some donations so we can reach our target. But thanks a lot, everyone, for being very interactive, being very fun, and asking loads of good questions as well. We still have, as I mentioned before, we still have 6 more webinars to come. So if you're interested, please like our page, and I'll just wait for us to give you some more information about what's coming up next. But to Matt, thank you, and good luck with next year, the Toastmaster, and hopefully I'll see you maybe on the big news about winning the England one, and maybe represent England to somewhere else as well. So good luck.
Yeah, thank you. And guys, if you have any more questions, just hit me up on LinkedIn or Instagram, and I'm happy to share what I know and how I can help you. But thank you all for taking the time to listen to me ramble on as well. I hope you've learned a few things. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for hosting me, BitPro.
Perfect. Cheers. Thank you, everyone.
Bye, guys.
Have a good day wherever you are in the world. Cheers.